This video looks like it's about cats. It isn't. It's about the person feeding one. Because the decision to share your home with a cat, not a dog, not a tank of fish, a cat, reveals more about your mind than you'd probably guess. Psychologists have actually studied who cat people are, and the findings don't match the jokes. If you saw the thumbnail, you saw the promise. 5 things owning a cat quietly reveals about your psychology. Real research, translated into plain English. And number 5, the last one, is the one that explains how you love. Not how your cat loves, how you love. Start with the moment you walk in the door. Bad day, the kind that follows you home. You drop the keys, drop the bag, and within a few minutes, before you've told a single human being what happened, you're on the couch with a cat on your lap, and your hand moving through fur on autopilot. Most people would call that loving cats. Look one layer down, and it's something more specific: regulation. Your body went looking for a heartbeat that wasn't going to ask questions. There's a name for what happens next: co-regulation, which just means 2 nervous systems settling each other down through contact. Researchers studying stress keep circling the same finding. People carrying a heavy load gravitate toward exactly this kind of low-demand soothing. Warmth, rhythm, no conversation required. So run one honest experiment tonight. When stress walks in the door with you, watch what your hands do first. If they find the cat before they find the fridge, the phone, or another person, congratulations. Your nervous system just showed you its favorite tool, and most people go their whole lives without noticing theirs. Hold on to that idea. The cat is a mirror, because number 5 turns that mirror all the way around, onto the way you attach to the people in your life. That one's waiting at the end. One honest line before moving on, though. A cat is a beautiful regulation tool. If it's become the only one, if nothing else on earth brings the volume down, that's not a flaw. But it is a signal worth taking to a professional, not just a pet. Quick one for the comments while that settles. What's the very first thing you do when you get home after a hard day? And where's your cat in that routine? The honest answers to that question reveal more than most personality quizzes. Number 2, the study that put cat people under the microscope. Several years back, researchers at the University of Texas surveyed thousands of people about their pets and their personalities. Dog people versus cat people, measured on the big traits psychologists actually use, and 2 findings stood out about the cat side of the room. First, cat people scored higher on openness, the research word for curiosity, imagination, an appetite for new ideas and unusual angles. Second, and yes, the internet loves this one, cat people also scored a bit higher on the trait researchers call neuroticism, which in plain English just means feeling emotions strongly, worry included. Now, the stereotype takes those numbers and builds the crazy cat person joke out of them. The data tells a more interesting story. Put those 2 traits side by side, and what you're looking at is a curious, deep-feeling mind. The same wiring that lets a Tuesday hit you a little too hard is the wiring that lets you notice what a small animal is saying without a single word. Sensitivity isn't the bug in that system. It's the price of the depth. And if nobody has ever explained cat people to cat people this way before, that's what this channel is for. The animal on your couch, used as a lens on the person underneath. If that's worth having every week, the subscribe button takes 1 tap. The honest caution here matters, so it gets its own breath. Those findings are averages across thousands of strangers. They're weather patterns, not a forecast for your street. No study can diagnose you, and this channel never will. What the research offers is a place to look. Whether you recognize yourself is entirely your call. One practical takeaway before the next one, since strong feelings came up. When an emotion spikes, anger, dread, the 11 p.m. spiral, try naming it in 1 word and giving it 90 seconds before acting on anything. Some scientists estimate that's roughly how long the first chemical wave takes to move through. The feeling may stay longer. The emergency usually doesn't. Number 3, the borrowed clock. You'd say you keep the feeding schedule for the cat. That's half true. Watch what the 6 p.m. feeding actually does to your evening. It ends the workday. It gets you off the phone. It starts the sequence. Feed the cat, start dinner, dim the house, that carries you all the way to bed. One small obligation, and your whole evening organizes itself around it like filings around a magnet. Psychologists talk about external structure, anchors outside your own willpower that hold a day in shape. Some minds generate that structure internally without much effort. Plenty of minds don't, and there's no shame in it. Those minds do their best work leaning on scaffolding. If that's you, you didn't just adopt a pet. You hired the most consistent project manager you've ever worked with, and you pay them in kibble. Test it. Hold the feeding to the same 15-minute window every day for 2 weeks, and watch how much of your evening quietly falls in line behind it. That's not the cat being demanding. That's you, borrowing a spine for your schedule, and it working. The caution. Scaffolding holds a day together, but it can't cure exhaustion. If every single day feels unmanageable without the routine isn't the problem, and a professional will do more for that than any pet can. Notice what's stacking up, by the way. The cat reveals how you soothe, then how you feel, then how you structure. Number 5 reveals how you love, and it's almost time. First, number 4, the quiet company preference. Think about what you actually chose. Not an animal that greets you at the door in a full-body celebration, an animal that hears you come home, finishes what it was doing, and then, on its own schedule, comes and sits 6 feet away. Present, undemanding, silent. People misread that preference as antisocial. The Texas data found cat people do average a bit more inward, lower on extroversion, but inward isn't broken. It means connection costs you energy, so you spend it carefully. You didn't choose less connection. You chose connection without performance. Another heartbeat in the room, no conversation to hold up, nobody to entertain. For a mind that pays full price for every social hour, that's not a compromise. That's the luxury option. And if this video has been quietly describing you for the last several minutes, that's the whole project here. Subscribe, and every week this channel takes another piece of life with a cat and turns it into a mirror. There aren't many places on this platform doing that. This is becoming one of them. Protect the habit that comes with this trait, because it's worth protecting. One 20-minute block a day of shared silence. You, the cat, no screen. Call it what it is, recovery. The honest boundary. Recharging alone is healthy. Isolation that hurts is a different animal. If the quiet has stopped feeling like a choice, that's the one kind of alone a cat can't fix, and it deserves a human on the other end of it. Which brings us to the promise from the beginning. Number 5, the mirror, turned all the way around. Out of every animal that commonly shares a human home, you pick the one whose affection is earned. A dog's love arrives on day 1, free, automatic, no questions asked. A cat's love has a waiting period, references required, and you knew that going in, and picked the cat anyway. Sit with what that choice says. Somewhere in you lives a quiet distrust of unearned approval, and its partner, a deep respect for anything that has to be built. You wanted love that chose you with a full set of exits available. And here's what the research adds. In 2019, researchers at Oregon State University ran cats through the same attachment test used on human infants. A short separation from their person, then a reunion. Roughly 2 out of 3 cats showed a secure bond, genuinely settled by their person's return, confident enough to relax and explore again. Read that from the owner's side. A secure bond means the cat's nervous system filed you under safe, and becoming someone's safe base isn't luck. It's a skill, patience, consistency, respect for another creature's boundaries, held steady for months, and you built it without a manual, probably without noticing you were doing it. So if anyone has ever implied that choosing a cat means settling for a lesser love, they had it exactly backwards. You chose the harder love on purpose, the kind with a waiting period, the kind that means something precisely because it never had to happen. That's not settling. That's standards. 2 honest lines before the end. Everything in this video is a mirror, not a diagnosis. Patterns from research, offered for you to try on, never a verdict on who you are. And the deal runs both ways. The animal holding up this mirror depends on you completely, so a sudden change in your cat, hiding, clinginess, food refused, is never a mood. It's a message, and a vet should hear it within a day or 2. So gather all 5 up in one breath. The hands that find the cat before the phone, the curious, deep-feeling mind, the evening held together by a borrowed clock, the connection that doesn't ask you to perform, and a love you chose specifically because it had to be earned. You didn't end up with a cat because you're hard to love. You ended up with a cat because you know the difference between love that's handed out and love that's built, and you wanted the real one. And if the borrowed clock section hit home, if a cat runs your evenings more than you'd admit out loud, there's a video on this channel about the good night ritual, the nightly routine that closes a cat's day. Watch it again with tonight's lens on, and notice whose day it's really closing. It's on screen right now. Because the research calls all of this attachment, regulation, personality. Your cat has a shorter word for it. You.